Good evening, Gills fans. Welcome back to the latest episode of Gills in the Blood TV, and we are back this week with a match preview show after last week's different plan of action where myself, Reese and Jack got together for Gills in the Pub, episode 15. If you've not yet watched that, shameless plug, go and check it out. It is available on the channel, but it's another big game this weekend as we take on playoff chasing Crewe Alexandra, and I'm pleased to say, finally, what feels about the 15th time of asking, I've managed to pin down Ant Evans. He is obviously an Alex fan and a really nice bloke on Twitter. So go and give him a follow. His details are in the description at the bottom of this video for all an Alex perspective of things before, during and after the game. And welcome to the channel. Like I say, I've been trying to pin you down for a couple of seasons now, and finally we've managed to get 20 minutes together.
You've ground me down, mate.
Sounded like some seedy date, didn't it?
You've ground me down, mate, and here I am. It's an absolute pleasure to speak to you, and obviously hello to all the Gills fans. Well, it's a real pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Not a problem at all. Yeah, Gills fans that hopefully smiling a little bit after Tuesday night's 1-1 draw at league leaders Walsall. Not a Walsall side that are in great form, but when you're as bad as we've been in recent weeks, I think it's certainly got to be seen as a positive. And we always start with recent form. It always seems a good place to start. So in terms of Gills, I'll just run through that quickly because obviously the Gills fans all know that and probably don't want to hear it again. It's 3 points from the last 18 available. All them games have come under John Coleman now. Defeats against Doncaster, Notts County, and that horrific showing at Barrow last Saturday, and 3 draws against Tranmere, Grimsby, and Walsall. And at least in the Walsall game, we scored our own goal if we are clinging for crumbs of comfort at the moment. So yeah, we currently sit 19th with 33 points from 29. It's not been much better in recent times for the Alex, unfortunately. They are 8th in the table with 48 points from their 31 fixtures, but it's only 1 win in the last 6 and 5 points from 18 available. That win came against Morecambe, and since then it's been a defeat against Accrington, 2 draws, Wimbledon, Harrogate, and then back-to-back 3-0 losses against Newport and Wimbledon, albeit and with a fairly big caveat against Crewe Alexandra, which I want to talk about because I think it's only fair. I want to start, though. I think it's fair to say that it's 2 sides out of form, essentially. Sorry, forgot what I was saying completely. It's no win in 10 for us, stretching back to the middle of December, and obviously no win in 5 for you. I can't work out how we've somehow managed to have a better goal difference in that period of time. We've scored 4, conceded 9. You've only scored 3, conceded 9. This is where we're at as a Gills fan base, mate. That's a positive. But it's what's happened? I guess is my first question, because you've dropped off in the last few weeks. I'm looking back to the reverse fixture, which was the 5th of October. I mean, you beat us, which was only our 3rd defeat of the season. Since then, you'd only lost 1 in 18 up until the last 5 games. Injuries, suspensions, or just a rough trot?
I remember that game, and I believe you were top of the league when you came to us that day.
I think we might have just dropped off. We'd lost to Grimsby on the Tuesday, but we were certainly in the top 3 or 4. Yeah, absolutely.
You were up there though, weren't you? You were definitely in the top 3, definitely. And I think it was one of those where, obviously I can only say what's in front of me. And I saw Gillingham that day, and I thought, don't understand how they're how they're top. I think it was a well fought game. In answer to your question, I think it's 2 things really. One is the injuries. We haven't got a fit senior striker at the club. We haven't got any fit attackers really, apart from Shiloh Tracy. Jack Lancaster is way above this level. As soon as he got injured at Morecambe, and ever since he's been injured, we've not won.
Okay.
So, and then you've got injury-prone players like Chris Long. You've got Kane Hemmings, Omar Bogle, all injured, and you've probably so that's 4 of your attackers. And then in midfield, you've got Connor Thomas as well, who's a senior player, and now Mickey Demetriou, the Colossus at the back, who is, I think, statistically the best centre-back in League 2, but he makes us tick. He's now out for at least a month as well. So it's pretty much all the senior players, apart from Jack Powell and Shiloh Tracy, who are out injured. We're a very young squad anyway. So then if you then take out those players, it's incredibly young, experienced, obviously, in terms of how many games that they've played. But I think that is having a massive, massive impact, especially the Jack Lancaster one, because he was on fire before he got injured. And then secondly, we play this sort of, whatever you want to call it, 5 at the back, 3-4 4-2-1 or whatever, but we play with wing backs, right? With 3 centre halves,
Mm-hmm.
2 wing backs. I think teams have figured us out a little bit, so they let us play it about at the back in a possession game, and then just probably hit us. That's Newport was like that, you know. They had 3 shots, let us have the ball, and just, you know, hit us when, you know, they had it. And I think also with the wing backs, we've got no cover in that position. So pretty much Max Conway and Ryan Cooney have played pretty much when they've been available all the time, and there's no sufficient cover in those positions as well. So like you said, first half of the season up till Christmas, we were doing really well. I think it's accumulation of injuries, and then also maybe we've been figured out, and Lee doesn't seem to want to change that 3 centre half or wing back position out either, and I think that's coinciding in our current form.
And that's interesting. So, because I've written down notes and I've got them in a certain order, but I'm going to jump because you brought up some good points for me. Because I've noticed, I mean, I use an app called SofaScore. So, looking at the last 2 games, the 2-3-0 defeats, Newport and Wimbledon, and like I say, we'll discuss Wimbledon in a sec. It looks like you've got the way it's been lined up on the app is a 5-4-1. Now, I'm assuming that's to do with the fact that you've got a lack of attacking players. So that's how it's been done. A bank of 5, a bank of 4, and then it's been Shiloh Tracy having to play as essentially a centre forward, a false 9, whatever you want to label it. Whereas before, when you had more people available, it looked like genuine variations of a 3-5-2. So sometimes you'd have 3 centre backs, a sitter, and then 4 with a 2, or sometimes it'd be a flat 3, a flat 5, a flat 2, or sometimes you'd play a number 10, which I assume would be someone like Lancaster when he's fit. So you sort of answered the first part because clearly it's needs must at the moment, and you're very much square pegs and round holes, which is how it goes when you've got that amount of injuries. So I was going to ask, will he revert back to a 3-5-2 for Saturday afternoon, or is it just going to be a case you're just going to have to pitch up and whoever's available and then fit that into a system?
We haven't got the attackers to play the 2 up front. It's unless, you know, we don't actually get much. We haven't really been given any time scales, but we're told it's at least a couple. You know, you're talking at least 4 weeks
for all of them
for Mickey, and pretty much, yeah, because they're that injury, they're that injury prone. It's one of those of, you know, when they play. So Chris Long is a fantastic example, right? He's been with us for 3 or 4 seasons. Pretty much every time he plays, he either scores or assists. He impacts in a positive way in terms of goal contribution. The problem is he only plays 15 times a season, and that's been the consistent over the last 3 or 4 years. However, with our wage budget, we wouldn't be able to get probably a consistent goal scorer like that to stay with us. And if he was, he probably won't be playing League Two. Anyway, it's the same with Omar Bogle. You know, really good player for this level, fantastic. But like, he wasn't Newport, scored loads of goals, but he was also very injury prone.
Always scores against us, so I'm glad he's injured. I'm not going to lie.
Connor Thomas, the exact same. Brilliant defensive midfielder. He's probably the only defensive-minded midfielder is in sitting in front of the back. And it's probably one of the reasons why we've played 5 at the back, because we actually don't have a defensive midfielder. We are, you know, we have Jack Powell and Sanders and Holacek, and we've got Lowry now and Taberner. Pretty much all of those have come through our academy. Very gifted, but they're very technically sound. They're not going to,
so
you know, they're not defensively minded, really.
Not got an enforcer type in there at all.
So I think that's one of the reasons why we play 3 centre halves, is to sort of get that solidity. And at the beginning of the season, we weren't conceding, but we were nicking, you know, but now we're conceding as well as not scoring at the same time. So I think that's one of the reasons why as well. So yeah, I think that, yeah, in answer to your question, we can only play Shiloh Tracy up front because that is literally the only
option
out and out attacking. We probably play, say, 2 attacking midfielders behind. So you play, I think last night at Wimbledon you had Tommy Lowry and Mattis Holacek in behind Shiloh Tracy, but they're in midfield. And like I said, the width is supposed to come from the wing backs, but we're not getting that attacking output from them now either. So we're quite narrow and there's no width there. And I get it. We're quite shy in terms of injury updates because obviously you don't want to come out and say, well, our strikers are out for, say, 2 months or 6 weeks, because that then puts, you know, we say that then John Coleman's like, great, brilliant. You know, we know what we're up against this weekend. So,
and I suppose just to interject, you don't want to go the other way and try and be over positive, because then your fan base will get the ump if they say, oh, it's 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks, 3 weeks passes and you're still not seeing them. Then the Alex fans are going to think, well, hang about, why are we being told? Not a lie, but what's going on
And
with
that
the
has
medical
happened,
team.
and
Yeah.
I think I think obviously with Lee's experience, that's something that he's learned as
Mhm.
well. Because then you're setting up that expectation then. So
Yeah,
then when you're
exactly.
not there, you sort of, yeah. So in answer to your question, I think it's just going to be Shiloh Tracy up front on his own, mate, if unless anyone comes back. But yeah.
I mean, and he ran us ragged at your place back in October. I mean, slightly from a slightly different role, albeit, but he was very, very good on the day. Pace, power, both goals were really well taken as well. I mean, I know we gave him helping hand with both of them, but he's still got to finish them off. And I thought the second goal was a really, really smart finish across our keeper into the far post.
Was that Shiloh
You,
Tracy?
yeah, I'm sure he got both of them, didn't he, that day?
You know what, mate? I haven't checked, but it's probably the last time he probably scored or assisted, to be honest. Because yeah, I like Shiloh. He's very good at holding the ball, runs the channels really well. But in terms of actual at the beginning of the season, he was scoring quite a few, and obviously he did at Gillingham. But his
Yeah, it
out.
was. He got both of them. Yeah, because I remember I
Yeah.
had who did I have on? Tyler Birtles, another Crewe Alex fan for the
Ah, yeah.
preview, and he said we all love Shiloh Tracy. He offers you pace, he offers you power, he offers you direct running trickery, but he's got no end product. So obviously I heard that, and then he absolutely bashed us that day. And I'm thinking, hang about, you tucked me right
Yeah,
up here, pal. But no, so I mean, he'll still be a threat with the fact that he's willing to run in behind and stretch. But I suppose the only caveat to that, and is the fact that he won't give that option where you can go from back to front a bit quicker and play off him, because he's not a hold up type front man, is he? He's very much someone that wants to play on the shoulder and run in behind.
he can hold the ball up really well, to be fair, because
Okay.
he's quite he's a physical, he's a big lad. He's in good
Oh
nick.
yeah, no, I'm
But
basing on what I saw the game. Yeah.
He's actually he's a winger, right?
Mhm.
So he can do the job, but he's not like Omar Bogle where like or Kane
That's
Hemming
it. Yeah.
where you get it up to him. He's more the one who's going to be running off and that's why we played the two up front. We say
Yeah.
like Lancaster and Tracy or like both. That's why it was working that way. Whereas now we're hoping to try and play a bit more football because obviously you've got more technical midfielders in there. And we definitely tried that against Newport and tried to play a bit at Wimbledon as well. We're sort of crying out for that rather than the long ball that we were playing. But like you said, you are having a winger as your striker. So it's limited in terms of what he, I think your centre halves might be quite happy, if it's like a corner or any sort of physical battle. But yeah, obviously he can run in behind, but his actual output isn't what it should be. But then again, if he was scoring and assisting every week, he wouldn't be playing for us in League Two, would he? He'd be playing higher up in the
Well, that's
league.
what a
So,
lot of us say
that's the way
about
you've
all
got
these
to see
players,
it.
isn't it? Yeah, that's why they're inconsistent, and that's why they're in this division. Because, like you say, if they weren't, they'd be Championship or Premier League. You've already mentioned them, and it seems that neither are going to be available. Because obviously, I flagged up Jack Lancaster and Mickey Demetriou in terms of, again, the same app that I use. They're top two for you this season in the league in terms of average ratings, are both around 7.5, which is a phenomenal effort over sort of 25, 30 games. Jack, 7 goals, 6 assists is, like you say, I can understand why suddenly you look a bit more blunt. It's bad enough if you take out a goal scorer or a creative player, but if you're taking out both at the same time, then suddenly it becomes really, really hard work. Like I say, Demetriou was a phenomenal signing. I think it was one of them that sort of came left field because of the age, free transfer, and then he was absolutely ridiculous last season when you got to the playoff final, and he's carried that on as well. So who should we look out for then? I'm going to change the question now, because in
Right.
terms of a threat, I mean, we've sort of touched on Tracy and what he offers. Who else could be? Would it be someone like Holacek or?
Yeah, so I feel I've started off quite negative probably because of the way they're in, but we did re-sign Tommy
We do
Lowry.
negativity on this channel, mate. Like I say, it's fine, absolutely fine.
We did sign Tommy Lowry, who is way above the level. Obviously, he was with us, obviously during our promotion season, and obviously came for our academy, and then he's gone to Portsmouth. Obviously, with them in League One and then in the Championship, but he's not played. But when you see him on the ball, it's one of those, just the pace of what he plays at, and as getting it, moving it. Looking around, it's like his pace and movement in terms of the way he manipulates the ball is way above this level. So I think if he can start playing, like I said, with Holacek as well, you've got some real technical midfielders there who could do some damage. And Jack Powell's in there as well. He's sort of like like a quarterback, deep line playmaker. He'll sort of get the ball and he'll ping it left and right over the top sort of thing. But I think, like I said, it's sort of limited now because of obviously the attacking options we've got front, but we've got a very technical midfield. And if we get the ball down and play the inverted commas Crewe, and when we say Crewe, it's because obviously as we love to produce a technical centre midfielder, right? And obviously throughout the academy, they're told to try and play it on the deck, pass and move. So that's what I would highlight as well. I sort of going to contradict myself as well, because Max Conway is probably one of the best left backs I think in the division. Very technically good, can actually get forward as well. I don't know if you saw his goal at Doncaster early in the season, literally just bobbed and weaved past their defence and slotted it away. So, yeah. So in answer to your question, yeah, probably Holecek, Lowry, probably Powell, and then maybe Max Conway on the as a left wing back.
So it'd be interesting that side then, maybe that left wing of yours, Holecek and Conway, if that's how it's going to line up, because they obviously both played that side against Wimbledon the other night. I want to touch on Wimbledon. I've seen Lee Bell's interview and obviously very much got a lot of sympathy for himself and your team and the Alex fans that would have travelled down, because it's a long way on a Tuesday night. I totally understand that. I mean, we all discuss EFL officiating on social media as fan bases of different clubs. I suppose the only consistent thing that they produce is that they're crap for everyone. I suppose, at least if we're looking for some kind of consistency.
It always seems to be crap for us, though, Matt. That's the thing.
But we all say that. That's the truth, which basically tells you all you need to know about the level of refereeing at this in this division. I cannot for the life of me work out how that's a red card. It's a penalty, absolutely. And I'm sure if I asked you, you'd say, I've got no issue with it being a penalty. He's wrestled the fella to the floor. But how you can give him a straight red card is baffling.
So, obviously, everybody has a gripe, obviously, with officiating. And obviously, you've got, you haven't got professionals managing a professional game. So, they need help. But we always seem to get the inexperienced referees. So I believe that was the fifth EFL game for that referee last night. And like I said, we're both in the playoffs. Why on earth is he managing? And I get that people need to obviously, one of those catch-22, right? You need obviously experience, but we do seem, I don't know, it's because they think we're we're a bit, not as aggressive, I don't know, but we do seem to get a lot of the inexperienced referees at the Alex, and I think you could debate if it's obviously a penalty or not, and obviously you've got your view and everyone else has, but you see, how many of those you see in the box each week in League Two, and it's not given. I think it's one of those, right? You'd want it, if it was the other way around, we'd be calling for it and say it's
that's it, and that's what I always try to do within decisions.
But,
if it's in the other box, you're saying penalty, but the red card is just it's a disgraceful decision to.
But then you also see that all the time, and it's not given as well, because you've always League Two, it's a bit more thingy. But like you said, the double jeopardy is ridiculous. And then, Wimbledon are a really good team anyway. Like I said, we played them couple of weeks ago, because this is a rearranged fixture when their pitch pretty much disintegrated. This is basically a rearranged game because they had to play Newcastle in the cup. So they're a good team. They're up there for a reason. And then you've then got that decision, and we're down to 10 men, and you're just like, right, you're just up against it now. And I think also what was highlighted was the amount of cards that we were given for the amount of fouls. They did twice as many, and it's one, so. We could go on it about referees, but what I would highlight, to your fans is just the amount of inexperienced referees we seem to get at Crewe, and I think that was why Lee Bell was so frustrated and sort of, said it as it is, really, because usually managers sort of don't go in like that on officials because they know they're going to get a nice fine through the door. But Lee's usually quite calm and collected, to be fair, and I don't think I've seen him that worked up, especially over the officials. But Wimbledon's had a job to do, but it definitely was never a red card. And
no, it wasn't. And I've sympathy.
And Jamie Lightney-Bell's been fantastic for us as well on loan from Bristol City.
That's another one that you end up missing, isn't it? And then it just compounds everything when you've got loads of injuries as well.
I think Zach Williams is accumulated loads of yellow cards as well, so I believe he's missing on Saturday now. Jamie Lightney-Bell's out, Mickey's out, so we signed Conor O'Riordan on loan, and I think he might be the only fit centre half now. So we might have to change it up a bit in terms of formation, or put someone else in the position that they're not accustomed to.
Good job you're playing a team that needs a sat nav to find the back of the net, then, isn't it? I suppose.
Mate, I'm putting is Nevitt fit or is he injured at the
Yeah,
minute?
he's fit. He played last night. He was all right to be fair. He's just not scoring goals. He's just playing with no confidence, unfortunately. And that's I know he got that reception at your place, which is that happens. It's football. I get that, but he had a couple of half chances last night. There was one he sort of let it run across his body. If he's playing with confidence, he probably shoots instead of having a touch. It was a header that he sort of nodded wide. But I can't fault his work rate and that type of thing. And he's off the ball work, but he's just
How many goals has he got this season? Do you know?
two.
Two.
Yeah, he hasn't scored a goal since September.
Well, the thing is, though, when we first signed him, because we signed him in the January, for his first 6 months, couldn't hit a barn door. But like you said, you could see the work ethic. And then obviously last season, he got 20 plus goals.
Yeah.
So, it's
So we're
one
winning
of
the
the...
league next season, Gills. Don't panic.
Well, it's funny to say that. So Courtney Baker Richardson scored for Newport on Saturday, and he hadn't scored since August. So yeah, he rocked up and got his first goal against us. So we're you might get the same thing with Nevitt on Saturday, mate, if he's not scored for a while.
I said the very thing about us. That's exactly what I said about us after Barrow. If you've got a player that hasn't scored for months or you haven't won a game for ages, then play Gillingham. But no, I think the game itself is going to be very much. I think it's going to be quite attritional. I know you like to play, but I think there's going to be limitations to how you can play because of the fact that you just got sheer amount of numbers out that are big players as well. Like you said, they're not fringe players; they're really, really key players. I'm not going to do lineups because I'd say quickly that I'd imagine if everyone's fit, I wouldn't change the Gills team from Tuesday night because they were really good to a man. And I've been very critical of the Gills players, certainly some individuals over recent months. There's no point trying to do yours. I guess it's whoever turns up without a bandage on his head.
Well, it's going to be. I mean, it's going to be pretty much the same apart from Jamie Knight-Labelle, I assume. And
Comes out, yeah.
I'd probably say that Lewis Billington's probably going to come in to the. Oh no, we'd have to change the three at the back, wouldn't we? Yeah, because we've got literally. Yeah, so Lewis Billington will probably come in at centre half alongside Connor. Probably got Cooney and Max on as fullbacks. Obviously, Philip Marshall in goal, and then probably playing 5 in midfield, mate. 5-4-4-5-1, something like that. Tracy up front, and then probably Taberner, Sanders, Powell, Holacek, Lowry. That's what I think, because that's pretty much all the senior players we've got available. So it's one
tough
of those
when it's like that, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah.
I was looking at recent games and that type of thing, and I've looked in the last decade, and there's been 12 games between the two sides. Then we've won 6. There's been 2 draws, and you've won 4. In terms of goals for and against, it's not a lot. We've got 14, you've got 12. But I've noticed at Priestfield, it's something of a bogey ground for you. Look at me trying to find positives for Gills in the hope that we can get 3 points. Last 5 at the Priestfield, we've won 4, and there's been that 0-0 draw last season, which was absolute non-event. And in terms of goals, it's 10-2 to us.
Right.
Yes, Gills, that's us averaging 2 goals per game at home to Crewe over the last 10 years. That won't happen this weekend, I doubt. Before I let you go, Ant, I'm going to ask you for the dreaded score prediction.
I generally can't see us scoring a goal, and I think it will be like the 0-0. It was over Easter, I believe.
Yeah, it was.
So
Yeah, it was Good Friday. Yeah, my little one was mascot that day. It was a really good day, aside from 90 minutes of absolute dross.
Well, I stayed over in the same hotel as the Crewe players just by chance, and got a photo with him, and I thought this is great. And then it was literally the worst game ever, wasn't it?
Terrible.
Really?
Such a bad game, yeah.
All that. Anyway, so I think it's I generally can't see with our thing where we're going to get a goal from at the moment. We'll play some nice stuff, but I generally can't see. And I think obviously you've said your own struggles as well.
Did you see our goal on Tuesday?
No, I literally haven't had a chance, mate, to be fair.
Have a look if you can, honestly. That's our goal of the season. That's not going to change.
Really?
I think it's up there as a contender for the divisional goal of the season. Absolutely ridiculous. So please go and have a look, because we don't score many. We certainly don't score many good ones.
Right, I'll have a look. How's Aaron Rowe getting on for you, by the way? I know he's barely to go, but
barely been fit. Barely been fit. He tore his hamstring end of August against Chesterfield, and he's been back. I think he came back middle of December. Been in and out the side since Coleman took over. Has looked all right in patches. Set up the winner at MK Dons, but we've gone back to a back 3 and wing backs on Tuesday night. So I can't see where he fits in at the moment. So we went with 2 orthodox fullbacks, which we're in a similar place to you because we've been so poor. I think we've just got to make ourselves hard to beat and try and nick points here and there and grab 1-0 wins. between head and I've said if we play like we did against Walsall, and also now knowing your injury problems, I think we might just nick it 1-0. But then the caveat to that is if Tuesday night was the blip and we revert to type of the last 2 months, then it'll either be 0-0 or you'll manage to pinch a goal because we'll end up giving you one. So what we're saying is don't turn up expecting a thriller. Don't turn up expecting to be first on the highlights package. I've said it plenty of times with Gills games. If they was a film, they'd go straight to DVD.
You watch, it'll be 4-4 now. It'll be an absolute fest. We've been dead negative saying it's going to be a 0-0 draw or one of us is going to nick it. It'll be like 4-4, something crazy.
We've been trying that for 4 years, mate, trying to talk ourselves into a 4-all somewhere, and it's just not happened. I laughed last week because our youth team were at home, and obviously I didn't go up to Barrow, and the youth team were at the training ground, which is literally 5 minutes from the Priestfield. And I said to my little and Ava, I said, we should have gone. And she went, well, what's happened? I said, Gills won 6-5 in the 94th minute.
Brilliant.
But it takes us 6 months to score 6 goals, unfortunately. And it's been a real pleasure. Really appreciate your time, mate. Really had good fun. So thank you very much for finally coming on. I will leave you alone a little bit now.
Thanks for having me, Matt. Absolute pleasure. And yeah, I'll see you on Saturday.
Absolutely. Gills fans, Crewe fans, if you're still watching at this point, you know what I'm going to say. It's a big thank you for watching and listening as you always do. Please consider hitting that like button and please consider hitting that subscribe button. We are very close now to 3,600 subscribers. It is free to do so. All you need is a Google Mail account. It's very helpful to myself. So thank you very much. Of course, we'll be at the ground Saturday, myself, Ava, Boz and the gang for a match day lives. Come over and say hello, give us your score predictions. Till then, though, I hope you have a good week. And most importantly, up the Gills.